What happens when the people who are supposed to protect you become the reason you need protection? This is the story of Bria Terrell, a vibrant 10-year-old girl whose life was tragically cut short by someone she considered family. A chilling tale of betrayal, deceit, and a desperate attempt to cover up a heinous crime that would shock the quiet town of Davenport, Iowa. July 10th, 2020. The summer air hung heavy with the unease of a world gripped by the COVID-19 pandemic. But in Davenport, a different kind of crisis was unfolding. Early that morning, an Amber Alert was issued for 10-year-old Bria Terrell, a missing child with a suspicious stepfather. The clock was ticking, and every moment was critical in the desperate search for the truth. Bria Terrell came into the world on December 4th, 2009. Her mother, Aisha, knew from the start that Bria was special. Bria was loving, creative, fun, and carefree, always eager to help out. She loved to draw, sing, and was a big fan of the movie Moana. Though her parents didn't stay together, Bria found a father figure in Henry Dinkins, Aisha's boyfriend for a few years. Henry was there for her, helping to raise her, and Bria adored her half-brother DL, always helping her parents with him. But, as often happens, relationships change, and Aisha and Henry eventually split. Henry wasn't around as much, which was tough on both Bria and DL. However, in the summer of 2020, something shifted. Henry started coming around more, hosting neighborhood cookouts, bringing people together. For DL, it was a chance to reconnect with his dad, and Bria would often join them. On July 8th, Aisha and DL saw Henry at a local quick shop. DL expressed wanting to see his dad more often. Aisha had a conversation with Henry about being more involved, and he offered to have DL stay with him that weekend. The next morning, July 9th, Henry arrived to pick up DL, but DL didn't want to leave his sister behind. Henry agreed to let Bria come along, a decision that Aisha, considering Henry as family, reluctantly allowed. Bria and DL got into Henry's black Camaro, and they took off. They went to Henry's friend's house, Vincent Howard's, where the children spent the afternoon playing video games. Later, they went to Henry's girlfriend Andrea's apartment complex, where Andrea was working remotely for ATAN-DT. Bria was curious about Andrea's work, while DL played more video games. Aisha, realizing Bria didn't have clothes for the weekend, packed a bag and dropped it off at the apartment. It was a quick exchange, a final hug, a last "I love you," before Aisha watched her daughter run back inside. She didn't know it would be the last time she would ever see Bria alive. Later that night, around 10 or 11 p.m., Aisha received a text message from Bria's phone. "Good night, Mommy. I love you." The next morning, Aisha received a text from Henry that would shatter her world. "I just woke up and Bria is gone." Aisha immediately started calling Henry, but he wouldn't answer. When he finally did, he said they all went to sleep, and by the time they woke up, Bria was gone. He claimed he was out looking for her and was going to make a police report. But something didn't feel right. Aisha hung up and called the police herself. Aisha, in a state of panic, rushed to find Henry. On her way, she saw Henry's car speeding in the opposite direction of the police station. She followed him, honking her horn, until he pulled over. Henry started rambling, claiming he didn't know his address and needed to turn back to get it. Aisha noticed something else. Henry's shoes were covered in mud. An officer arrived at Andrea's apartment at 8:55 a.m. Henry couldn't recall his address, his phone number, or what Bria was last wearing. He claimed he hadn't asked the neighbors about Bria because he didn't know them. Aisha was frantic, telling the officer that Bria would never have wandered off on her own. The officer, sensing the tension, went up to the apartment to speak with Andrea. Andrea stated that Bria was there when she went to sleep. The officer asked to take a quick look around, and Andrea hesitantly agreed. Bria was nowhere to be found. By the time the officer came back outside, Henry was gone. He had left without telling anyone where he was going. Henry eventually showed up at the police station for an interview. He claimed that after the kids went to bed, he left the apartment to see a friend, but no one was home. He came back, noticed Bria was missing, and went out looking for her. He also admitted to going out again to buy cigarettes. His story was inconsistent, his timeline blurry, and his behavior increasingly suspicious. Detectives discovered that Henry's maroon Chevy Impala had been seen driving all over town in the early morning hours of July 10th. When asked about the Impala, Henry was evasive, claiming a friend had dropped him off. However, the Impala was later found parked a block away from the police station. Clearly, Henry had driven there himself, another lie uncovered. The detectives wanted to see Henry's phone records, but he became paranoid, refusing to give them his password. It was clear he was hiding something. Search warrants were executed on the apartment, Henry's car, and his RV. In the RV, they found suspicious cleaning supplies, including bleach. Henry had a history. He was a registered sex offender with prior arrests for operating a vehicle while intoxicated. He was also forbidden from having contact with minors. Searches for explicit videos of minors were found on his phone. He was arrested for violating his sex offender registry requirements. Months went by with no sign of Bria. Then in March 2021, 8 months after her disappearance, 3 friends went fishing on Credit Island in West Davenport. They stumbled upon something white lying in the brush. It was a human skull. The remains were identified as Bria Terrell. She had died from multiple gunshot wounds. A revolver was found nearby, and ballistics tests suggested it was the murder weapon. The evidence was mounting, pointing directly at Henry Dinkins. Prosecutors believed that after Aisha dropped off the clothes, Bria, DL, and Henry played video games. Later, Henry asked the kids to take a bath and gave Bria a large white t-shirt of his to wear. Bria went to bed first, followed by DL. Around 2 a.m., Henry woke Bria and they left the apartment. DL saw them leaving. Surveillance footage showed Henry's Impala heading north. The car was then seen parked at Henry's RV. Prosecutors argued that Henry lured Bria inside the RV, assaulted her, and then, realizing she would tell the truth, murdered her. He then cleaned the RV with bleach to cover his tracks. Back at the apartment, Andrea woke up at 3 a.m. and noticed Bria and Henry were gone. She tried calling Henry, but his phone was off. When Henry returned, he was wearing different clothes. Andrea saw Bria standing outside by the car. Henry and Bria then left again. At 3:33 a.m., Henry's Impala pulled into a nearby quick shop for gas. He paid with cash. Henry and Bria then drove to Credit Island. He led her down a steep embankment and shot her twice. Henry tried to leave, but his car got stuck in the mud. A passing motorist, Jared Brink, helped him get the car out. Jared later told investigators that there was no one else in the car. After getting his car unstuck, Henry returned to Highway 61 and headed back to his apartment. Later that morning, he took DL to Walmart to buy bleach, paying with cash. He then took DL to Credit Island, where he took bleach and a machete into the woods. He used the machete to conceal Bria's remains and doused everything with bleach. The trial began in August 2023. Henry pleaded not guilty. Despite the lack of physical evidence, the testimony of Jared Brink, DL, and Andrea, along with surveillance footage, led to Henry's conviction. He was found guilty of first-degree murder and kidnapping. Henry Dinkins was sentenced to 2 mandatory life sentences. During the sentencing, Aisha gave a powerful victim impact statement, expressing the unimaginable pain and grief caused by Henry's actions. Bria's family can finally lay her to rest. Memorials of Bria can be found throughout Davenport, a testament to the impact she had on the community. Bria Terrell's story is a tragic reminder of the vulnerability of children and the importance of vigilance in our communities. Her memory lives on, inspiring us to protect and cherish every child. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please seek help. You are not alone. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments. Please stay safe. Till next time.